Ever thought about what marriage looked like centuries ago? It wasn't about love or fairy tale weddings. Back then, marriage meant land, politics, power, and sometimes even ghosts. So let's take a quiet walk through history and peek into some of the most surprising and unusual marriage customs from around the world. Number 1. Ancient Rome. Marriage was a deal in ancient Rome. Marriage wasn't romantic, it was strategic. Families arranged marriages to gain money, land, or political allies. The bride didn't get much say. Women were seen as property first, their fathers, then their husbands. Before the ceremony, the bride would place her childhood toys on an altar. It was her goodbye to being a girl. Then came the feast, and yes, a cake. But instead of eating it, they'd smash it over the bride's head for good luck. Not quite the Instagram wedding we see today. Number 2. Vikings, a bit of fire and freedom. Viking marriages were also arranged. But with a twist, Viking women had more rights. If a husband mistreated his wife, she could divorce him, and she'd leave with all the property she brought into the marriage. During the ceremony, the groom would gift a sword, sometimes from a dead ancestor. It symbolized strength and maybe a little intimidation too. For a time when battles were common, the sword said, "I'll protect this home." Powerful, right? Number 3. Ancient China ghost marriages. Now this one's eerie. In ancient China, if someone died unmarried, families feared their spirit would be lonely, so they arranged ghost marriages. Yes, real ceremonies sometimes between two dead people, or even a living person and a dead one. Dowries were exchanged. Graves were involved. There were even cases where bodies were stolen just to marry someone. It sounds dark, but it came from a place of wanting harmony for the living and the dead. Number 4. Medieval Europe. Love came later. In medieval Europe, marriage was a tool mainly for the nobles. Children were promised to each other as young as 7. The church said both people should agree to marry. But let's be honest, especially among royals, it was all about family gain. Still, it was one sweet custom. Hend. It was like a 1-year trial marriage. If the couple liked each other, they made it official. If not, they moved on. Medieval dating, right? Number 5. Africa and indigenous cultures community. First, not all marriage traditions were strict or controlling. In many African and indigenous cultures, marriage was a celebration of families, tribes, and love. Sometimes women chose their partners. Polygamy wasn't about power, it was about survival and support. Among the Igbo people, marriages were filled with rituals, gifts, and joy. Dowries weren't money, they were moments. In some Native American tribes, divorce was simple. A woman could just place her husband's belongings outside the tent. No courts, no shouting, just freedom. So yeah, marriage wasn't always about love and flowers. Sometimes it was about power, peace, even the afterlife. But behind every tradition was a story of hope, fear, and belief. And through it all, marriage stayed meaningful, a bond, a promise. In whatever form it took. Thanks for wandering through history with me. If you enjoyed this journey, please subscribe to Whispers of Time, sleep well, and maybe dream of cake not being smashed on your head.